Notice what it takes to get comfortable seated, right? So whether you like to sit up on a bolster, sitting up on something can be very helpful to kind of ease the knees and the hips. Now, if sitting, of course, cross-legged doesn't work, you're welcome to extend the legs out in front of you. That may mean you want to sit, more on the floor. And then support your back by sitting off an edge of the blanket, tipping the pelvis forward a bit. And then, of course, there's always the option to lie on your back. So being seated some days doesn't work. Whether we've got a knee issue going on or our backs, are uncomfortable seated for any reason, remember that we can't get centered if we're distracted by the physical body, bothering us here, and we're always having to move. So just kind of noticing what it takes to just to get comfortable so we can be here for a few minutes. Okay. And then let's rest the palms down. So a lot of you requested grounding this morning, right? And grounded to me, it can mean several things. It can mean our connection to the earth and her rhythms. It can also, and I think for most of you, it can really mean more in the sense of feeling centered within yourself, feeling calm, and there's less or no anxiety. You're feeling that things are going as planned. You want to feel a little bit more secure or confident. All those things can help us get into that sense of being grounded. And being grounded helps us to tap into our personal strength as well, right? That belief in self that we can move through life's challenges. And so by placing the palms down, bring your awareness down into the earth, right? So right here with the energy down, we're connecting to the earth and connecting through the tailbone. Right? So softly close the eyes and just feel or sense, or maybe you can visualize a sense of energy from your spine, taking it from the crown of the head down through the neck, the upper back, and the mid back. Just keep following it all the way down, low back and the tailbone. And that image, whether it's a color or an energy, is connecting down into the earth. And for some, I personally find myself, my roots kind of spreading out within maybe 6 inches to a foot below, and really spreading out into all the dirt and the nourishment there. And sometimes we want to take that a little farther and deeper into the earth. And so notice where you take your root, what helps you to have that sense of groundedness. Trust it. Trust the image or the feeling that comes up for you. You might even allow your posture to round just a little bit. It's okay. Just kind of let the upper back, just relax the shoulders, maybe the low back rounds just a bit. Again, all of the energy traveling down for a moment. Just relaxing into this moment. And then with your breath, assist your posture. So each inhale, we begin to extend through the spine just a bit. There's a gentle engagement of the lower abdominal muscles towards the spine. Okay, just gentle, don't overdo it. We allow that energy from the earth to travel up with the breath, supporting us. We're drawing in the energy that we need today in this practice. Drawing it up, it's coming up through the spine, and you might see it start to spread out from the spine. Right? So again, go with the visual that comes to mind for you, and you take it all the way up through the crown of the head. So a willingness to accept that support, that nourishment. Begin to deepen the breath. Bringing your palms to your lower belly, one palm on top of the other. And allow the belly to expand with each breath. And gently and actively contract it back towards the spine on the exhale. Breath is slow and even. And just recognizing who is beginning the practice today. Who's on the mat? Just noticing your energy level. Noticing the quality of your breath. Noticing thoughts that may be distracting. Use your breath to anchor in the moment. And you might even notice other areas of the body you hadn't recognized yet that need some care and attention today. And then removing your hands, place the back of your hands on your thighs, so now your palms are up. This energy of being open, being curious, and the willingness to receive whatever gifts this practice has for you this morning. Good. So let's go ahead and place the palms back down, or even just the tips of your fingers down into the thighs. And we're going to do a seated cat-cow. So we're going to check in with our backs, particularly the low back. You'll feel this in the upper back as well. So exhaling, we're going to tuck the tail under, start to sink and round the low back, the upper back. Elbows move wide. And then press the hands lightly into the thighs. Just start to lift and open. Elbows draw in, and if it feels safe to your neck, take the gaze up to the ceiling. And then exhaling and round. So we kind of had some opposite requests today. We had a request for energy, right? So to bring energy in. And then a lot of you really needed things to be grounding and calming. So here's what we can do, and I'll mention it as we go. So right here, those of you who need to bring in some energy, you're going to move with this a little more quickly. The breaths will be deep and full, energizing breaths, and you'll just inhale and exhale and just kind of move a little more quickly with that intention of bringing energy in. And then for those of you who need something more grounding and more calming, slow all this down. We're breathing through the nose in both directions, can help to keep the breath slow and also calming. And then we're going to take this and move into twisting, just very gentle twisting. And so after the inhale, the next time you exhale, you're going to round the spine and start to round one shoulder towards the opposite knee. The inhale brings you back to center, and then exhaling round on the opposite side. When you've gone equally in both directions, come back to center. Pause, just feel the energy through the spine. Notice or feel the echo of the practice. And then slowly rotate the head right and left. Okay, so this we're going to maintain a bit of a slower movement. It's really taking care of the neck. We had one neck request, so let's just kind of check things out here back and forth. And then releasing or dropping one ear to a shoulder and come back up to side to side. Keep breathing through this, some nice long, even breaths. And then when you've gone side to side there, bring the head back to neutral. And let's do a little bit of our resistance work, and then we'll come back to those movements. Take the heel of your hand to the edge of your right side of your head. So I'm in my right hand, heel of my hand, right side of my head. Press the head into the hand while the hand resists, and then press the hand into the head while the head resists. 4 rounds, dropping or releasing the ear towards the shoulder and just making the neck really wake up and activate and work here a little bit to do that. Keep breathing, and then we'll switch sides, left side. Spine is tall, gentle engagement of the core, breath is flowing. And after 4 rounds there, take the heel of the right hand again now to the corner of the forehead. Rotate the head into the hand while the hand presses back. You're going to rotate your gaze over the right shoulder and resist going back to center. 4 rounds here. So we're really, just as a reminder, waking up the fascia here, and our fascia covers us from head to toe just beneath the skin. There's no insertion point. With fascia, it's just like this skin, kind of like our skin, it's just everywhere, just beneath the skin, and they're even finding it to be even more vast than that the more they study it. Left hand, corner edge of the forehead. And as we age, it becomes kind of brittle or dried out. It's where some of the stiffness can occur. And so when we activate it, when we work it like this very gently, it's like adding water to a sponge. And so we can create a little more pliability. And after 4 rounds there, release the hands both back to your lap, whatever position's comfortable. And now again, rotate right to left. Just kind of notice if the range of motion feels a bit different. And then right ear or ear to shoulder, just side to side. And breathe in center. Take a moment here. Good. So let's already, we just have the ankle request, so let's already kind of take care of the feet and the ankles, and then we'll come on over and do a little more work with them. So I'm going to remove what I'm sitting on because I want to be flat on the floor for this. It's a little bit better. Okay. And I'm going to take well, actually, let's just extend both legs out in front. Let's do it at the same time. 2 birds with 1 stone. So we're going to point and flex. So we're just really working on the mobility in the ankle by just pointing and flexing, pointing and flexing. And we can start to feel the calf and the shin start to wake up a bit as well. And then you can take the feet and circle them. Nice big circles. You can lead that with the big toe. It creates an oval. And then switch and make sure you circle the other way. Just kind of noticing how one ankle can feel so different than the other. Check that out a little bit, and let's go ahead from here now and roll to hands and knees. So here, come to the tops of the feet so your toenails are in the floor. Right, just kind of feel that for a moment. And a cat-cow, exhaling round. So now we're just tabletop or hands and knees, cat-cow versus seated. Notice the difference. Just going to notice if there's a little bit more range of motion or it's just different, in whatever way that shows up for you. And then from here, just drawing back into a child's pose, if that's available to you, sitting onto the heels, just kind of feeling the stretch through the tops of the feet. This is a very nice pose for tight ankles. Can really help to stretch that out. For some people, this is almost too intense, and you could stick like a blanket. You can take if I was to take my blanket, just for this stretch. I wouldn't use it this high typically, but if I wanted to feel this, I could come in so that my knees are still on the blanket, but my ankles are off. So for people who have really tight ankles, this is kind of a nice way to come back into child's pose where it kind of creates a stretch that's not quite as intense for people with that, if you have really tight ankles in the front there. Okay, so just something to think about. Even less of a fold can also help. And then come back up to all fours, curl the toes under. Okay, and then we sit back from here. Okay, so now we're really going to stretch to the arches of the feet and the toes, but being that everything's connected, it's just as important for the ankles to work in through the arches of the feet and really stretching through the toes too. Okay. Just take a couple more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and come on up. Keep the toes curled under, and let's find our first down dog and just start to pedal the feet. So really just working through the calves as we alternately press one heel into the floor and then the other, bending the knees, shifting through the hips. Just kind of explore here. And then we'll go ahead and inhale to the knees. Exhale into child's pose and check in from your request. Some of you wanted grounding, calming, and there was a couple of you who wanted to kind of bring in a little bit of energy. So we're going to come into our mini flow. And again, if you want to bring in some energy, you might want to move through this a little bit more quickly but safely. And then for those who need a practice that's more calming and grounding, you're going to really keep this slow. Right? So we inhale to our knees and we alternately exhale between down dog and child's pose. But how quickly you do this can determine the effects of the practice. And so just have that sense of slowing it down if you need something more grounding, speeding it up a little bit if you want to bring in some energy. Notice your breath. So it's kind of the fun part of this practice, or any yoga practice, is how you can shift it. We can all be here together and yet change it up according to each person's needs. So really listen to what your needs are today and honor that. By really honoring where we're at each day, that's an expression of self-love. And then, as always, if you'd like to add on, pull the heart forward. You can do that. And then exhale back into down dog. And stay with this just for a few more breaths. And the next time you come into down dog, let's go ahead and pause here for a moment. Bringing your your feet hip width apart. Hands are shoulder width apart, if not even a little bit wider. Really actively pressing the hands into the earth. Now bend the knees. Be willing to bend the knees, removing that hamstring stretch out of it. Take the tailbone high into the sky. Broaden your shoulders. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Soften the heart towards your thighs. Okay, so this is really the intention. Remember, the intention on this pose is about lengthening the spine, and we haven't spent time here in a little bit. So just really feel into that. It's like someone's taking your tailbone and pull it with a string and pulling it up to the ceiling, which lengthens the hamstrings. So really be willing to bend the knees to maintain that length in the spine. Okay, one more breath here. And then we walk our feet to our hands. Find your way into a standing forward fold. Allow the shoulders to just hang out into the ears, let the head hang. You can use a block here if you need to, bend the knees if you need to, as much as you need to find a gentle whisper of a stretch in the back of the legs. You might want to grab the opposite hand to an elbow. Just let the arms hang here. Take a couple more breaths. And then we'll go ahead, take your hands to your hips. Bend the knees. Engage the core. Reach forward with the crown of the head, lengthening the spine. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back. Press down through both feet. Find your way up to standing. Nice. Okay. So let's go ahead, bring your feet hip width apart, if not just a little bit wider. Okay, so we're going to come into our some of our warm-ups that we've done in the past. So heart salutations and our half salutations. And why I want to do this is, again, to use this opportunity for those of you who need to bring in some energy. You can move through these more quickly. And for those who need to keep this calming and more grounding, you're going to go through it as slowly as you'd like. Okay, so connecting with our breath, arms by your side. We're going to start off with our half salutations. Knees are softly bent, right? In other words, just don't lock into the joint. And on an inhale, scoop up. So bring in all the energy you need, inhaling up. And then we're going to bring the palms down through from the crown of the head, exhaling down through the front of the body, all the way into the feet, filling ourselves up. Okay, 2 more rounds just like that. Whatever imagery or feeling that comes to mind for you. Inhaling, bring it in, scoop it up, and then fill yourself with that energy on the exhale from head to toe. And 1 more round. And exhale. This time, let's inhale up. And take a hold of one wrist and exhale to the opposite side. Press equally down through both feet and just breathe. Take a breath or two in this first round to that opposite, the rib cage you're folding away from. Opening up that lung. Opening up the rib cage. And then inhale will bring you back up to center. Grab a hold of the opposite wrist and exhale to the other side. And pause here for a breath or two. Your inhale brings you back to center. Exhale the arms out wide. Just taking it nice and slow on this first one. Either bring your hands to your hips, or you can bring them to your low back, palms to your low back. Okay. And from here, draw the elbows back, lift the heart, opening the chest. A little bit of a back bend, but ever so slightly. Tuck the tailbone just a little bit so that you're also lengthening in the low back. A deep breath into the heart. And then your exhale, the hands run down the buttocks, down the back of the legs. Nice long spine, fold forward. Inhale halfway up, placing your hands on your shins, shoulder blades onto the upper back, long spine. Engage the core. Exhale, fold. And either arms by your side or out wide. Engage the core. Inhale, back up. And let's just move through this. Take a hold of one wrist. Exhale to the opposite side. Inhale, back up. And exhale to the other side. If you know this well and you want to move through this more quickly, that you can do that. Feel free. Exhale, arms lower. Inhale into the heart, gentle back bend. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale brings you back up. And again, exhale to the opposite side of the wrist you're holding. Inhale. So I'm going to take you through this a little more slowly, as a majority of the requests were about getting grounded. And then again, I'll encourage those of you who want to move more quickly, feel free. Inhale. Exhale, lower the arms. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale, fold. Inhale halfway. And exhale, release. Inhale, come up. We'll go through one more round. Exhale to the opposite side. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, back up. Exhale, wide. Inhale into your heart. And exhale, fold. Continue to experience the feet in the earth to get that sense of groundedness. Press halfway up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come back up. And this time bring the palms together and exhale to your heart. Breathe and feel the practice. Notice if anything has shifted, even from what you may have thought you needed from the practice, something may have shifted there too. Good, and release the hands. So I'm going to go ahead and stand sideways for our heart salutations. And so we want to remember, just kind of going through the basics again, this can be and is intended to be a very energizing movement or warm-up. Moving more slowly can keep this more grounded or calming. Okay, so let's begin with simply interlacing the hands behind your back and then keep the shoulders down and back. Okay, so, and this will be really important as you fold forward because people want to bring their hands up off their back and then they end up crunching into their neck and shoulders. So keep that down and neutral, okay? Bend the knees generously. Matter of fact, let's take our feet, definitely take our feet out wider than the hips, okay? And then bend the knees generously and fold your heart. Bring your chest to your thighs. Okay, so there's not intended to have any hamstring stretch here. And then noticing what's going on in the shoulders, if you can keep them away from the ears, you can bring the arms up off the back if that's available. If not, no worries. Okay? And then we lower the arms, start to lift the chest, press through the feet, come all the way up to standing, and until you're at standing, then release the hands and bring them out in front and up. So it really protects the low backs, especially since we had one low back request, okay? And then we bring the arms out wide. Okay, so we inhale, interlace the hands behind you, shoulders down. Exhale, bend the knees and bring the chest to the thighs, maybe the arms up and over. Long, slow inhale, you lower the hands, press to come up, arms are last. All one inhale. Exhale, release the arms wide. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back up. And exhale. Okay, so there's 2 full breaths through that movement. Now, if you're looking to bring energy in, you're going to do this more quickly, and you're also going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Okay, so I'll do a couple of rounds of that. If you know that's not for you this morning, just stay in the more slower pace we just did. Okay, so inhale here, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Go one more at whatever pace you'd like to take. And then you'll, on your exhale, arms by your side, just pause there. And again, feel the practice, feel the energy flow, just notice some of the subtleties that we wouldn't notice unless we do take this time to pause. Just be and feel. All right, so if you're not at the front of your mat, just step up to the front of your mat. And then also actually, let's have, if you have 2 blocks or know you might want to use them, let's place them on either side of our mat. And again, I'm going to give you some options here for practice to stay more grounding versus something that's more challenging and really energizing. Okay? All right, so from here, inhale, reach up. Let's bring our palms together, exhale down and fold. Okay, step your right foot back. For now, let's all bring our right knee into the floor, take your blocks. Let's just check things out on this low lunge, and we're gonna rock back and forth. Inhaling and exhaling. So definitely we have some poses that we do virtually every practice, and I find them to be the most useful or most beneficial. And remember that we're always changing. Every cell in our being has changed since the last time we enroll our mats. So we could do the exact same practice on a daily basis and really see different results every time, right? Or feel different things every time. Just kind of checking in here with our right hip flexor as we come forward, our left hamstring as we go back. And then next time you come forward, pause in a more neutral position. You can decide whether you like to have the back foot, you can have your toenails in the floor or curl the toenails under. And you'll notice a different experience with the knee. Okay, so just find what works for you there. Come on up, bringing your hands to your thigh. Okay? Spine is tall, core engaged. Take a few breaths right here in a nice grounding low lunge. You can keep your hands on your thigh. You can bring them to your heart. You might want to interlace them behind you. Or very traditional, bring them overhead. And those of you looking for a stronger, more energizing practice can go ahead and come up into a high lunge. Okay, extending that right leg, bringing that knee off the floor. And all the same options apply with the arms. Right? That's just an expression of the pose. What are you feeling into today? And when you found that, breathe. Nice, steady breath in and out. Core stays engaged, spine stays tall. And go ahead and fold forward, move the blocks off to either side. Let's press that back. Come into down dog and just kind of walk that out a bit. Come to the knees, inhaling, and then you choose either come onto the belly if your knees are really sensitive, or draw back into a child's pose. If they're not, you can keep the arms extended, or maybe it would feel nice to bring one hand on top of the other. It lifts the head just slightly. That can feel nice on the neck. Nice for the low back, if you can get here. And breathe. So feel your choices so far. Notice how the body is responding to the different options today and the choices you're making for yourself. And then we'll go ahead, come on up, back to all fours. And let's bring our right foot forward. Put the blocks in place if you're using those. And again, decide on that back foot. Toes can be curled under or toenails on the floor. It's up to you. Just notice what feels good. Play around, explore. And then we go ahead, inhale forward and exhale back. Just steady movement with the breath. All we're doing is warming up through the hips, the hamstrings, checking things out on this side, noticing how it feels, what's going up, what's coming up for you. And then the next time you come forward, start in the low lunge. So come on up, bringing your hands to your thigh. Just kind of feel this low lunge. Notice how that serves you on this side. And then if you're looking to come into a high lunge, you want a more energizing or challenging practice, bring that left knee up off the floor. And all the while, whether you're choosing low or high lunge, where would you like your upper body? What's your expression in your pose here? Enjoy your practice. Find what is really nourishing to you, what resonates with you. And then we'll go ahead and release that. Remove the blocks if you were using them and press back into down dog again. Walk that out. Keep breathing. And then we'll go ahead again, lower to the knees. And either child's pose or onto the belly. Use your hands if you want to rest your head. And again, feel the choices you made for yourself there. Notice how your body's responding. It's so important in our practice, we start to really listen to what the body needs that today or each time you're on your mat. We tend to drag it around with us and make it go everywhere, whether it wants to or not, because we want to do it. So we have this opportunity on our mat to instead allow the body to speak up a little bit and really honor what it needs. All right, so extending the arms out in front if they're not, inhaling back to hands and knees. Curl the toes under. Exhale to down dog. And walk your feet to your hands, coming to a standing forward fold. And from here, either arms by your side or out wide, engage the core, lengthen the spine. Inhale, come back to standing. And hands together to your heart. Okay, so we're going to do a little, let's do a balancing pose, and I'd like to do a tree pose. And the reason this is coming up is because of the ankle request. So when our ankles are feeling tight or stiff or sore, they can also make us feel a little unstable. What I'm going to suggest is if you do feel unstable, be willing to be up against a wall, please. Like have your hand or a wall available for your hand to land on. Okay, if that helps you to feel a little more secure. Okay, and then you can just kind of take the hand towards and away from the wall and practice that. What I want to do is come to the right ankle first. Also notice if you are practicing on carpet, it's going to be really challenging for you. If you have a harder surface, it definitely makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so we're going to take our left ankle to our left heel to our right ankle. Toes are still in the floor. Okay, so I'm not picking my left foot up off the floor yet. Okay, and I'm just finding my breath, kind of checking in right now. Most of my weight's in that right leg. Really lengthen up out of the hip, right? So when we're in tree pose, there's a tendency to drop into that standing hip. Lift up out of it. Core is engaged, spine tall. And now find your drishti. So find your spot you're going to look at in front of you that's not moving. So if you've lit a candle for practice, we don't want to look at the candle flame. Or if your dog or kitty's joining you and their tails are wagging, you know, that all can be distracting in regards to finding our drishti. So something that's still. And then from there, you might choose to place your left foot on your calf. And the next option may be to the inner thigh. We want to be either below or above the knee. Press the leg into the foot into the leg. This is really hard to do while talking. And then just like our low lunge, you can find your expression of your branches. Maybe they're at your heart. Maybe they're reaching overhead. If you're holding your breath, please breathe. And notice what it takes for the ankle to be stable here. It's very hard to do while talking. And then we'll release that left foot. Shake out that right leg. It's working hard. You feel that in the ankle too. Whoop. I'm obviously a little more ungrounded than I thought right now. What a shock. Not really. Everything going on, right? All right. Left foot. We'll bring our right toes in the floor, right heel resting on that left ankle. Just finding center again, arms by your side, core engaged, spine tall. Lift out of that hip joint. Find your drishti. Find your breath. Then you might choose to bring your foot to your calf. Or maybe to the inner thigh. Press the leg and the foot together. Find your expression in your branches and breathe. When you feel complete on this side, bring that right foot down, shake out the left. So balancing poses can be very grounding, and they can be very challenging when we're ungrounded, right? And when we're feeling scattered and a lot of different things going on in life, or we're upset about something, or we pick up on the energy of the world, which is very unsettling right now. That can all affect our balance. And yet, when we're asked to find a balancing pose, we have to be in the moment. You have to be right here, right now. The more present you become to the moment, the better your balance will be. Okay, so they can really help to ground you if you're feeling ungrounded or scattered. Okay, so let's go ahead and find your way back to the front of your mat again. If you're not there. And on an inhale, bring the arms overhead, palms together overhead, and exhale down through center, fold forward. Walk both feet back, come into down dog. Okay, we're going to come forward into plank pose. Just it is a very strong pose, but also very grounding, and you can always come to the knees if you need to. Okay, so we're going to pull forward into plank if this is available to you. Body parallel with the floor. Use your core. Okay, if the wrists are sore, you can come onto fists, or you can come into forearm plank. And the other option is to bring the knees down. The farther the knees are behind you, the more challenging this will be. The more you draw them underneath you, the less challenging, right? We're essentially coming into tabletop. So again, lots of ways to modify. Keep breathing. Just feel the power and the strength as well as the groundedness of this pose. Very steady. Bring the knees down if they're not underneath you, and draw back into that child's pose or onto the belly. And just take a few deep breaths wherever you're choosing to be. So find your way up to hands and knees, and we're going to roll onto our backs. Let's have a strap nearby and a block. I think that'll be it. All right. Let's take care of our low backs here before we come into our Shavasana and guided meditation here in a little bit. So to begin with, draw the knees into the chest, rounding the low back, just a gentle stretch like a reverse child's pose, but without the pressure on the knees. You can even place your hands behind you if that helps to not have the knees bend as much. And then we'll find our way into our Apanasana, or knees to chest. So inhale, arm lengths away, and exhale towards you. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale as we expand, exhale as we contract. And let's go ahead from here. Take the knees into circles. Knees are together, circling them around, big or small. Just moving all around the top of your sacrum, or top of the pelvis. And switch and circle the other way. And then maybe take the knees and circle them wide, getting a little bit into the inner thigh and the groin. And then let's go ahead and place both feet on the floor and take a hold of your strap. And if you don't have one, it's okay. You can simply interlace your hands behind the thigh. We're going to come into a hamstring stretch here. If you do, you're going to place the strap around the ball of your foot. I'm on my right leg right now. Okay. Then you can take, just to help keep a more relaxed position in the neck and the shoulders, you can slide your hands down the strap, just helping to relax that upper neck and shoulder. If you don't feel any tension there and prefer to grab up here, you can. Some of you may not even need the strap. You might be able to grab your toes, but the strap, instead of having to grab our foot, really helps us in our low back. So we're going to pay attention to what's going on there now. I'm going to back off on the stretch. I'm going to let the leg move away from me. And then I'm going to feel that pelvic tilt. So it's kind of an anterior tip of the pelvis. You want to create a little space between the lumbar spine and the floor. So you just lengthen that hamstring attachment into the glute. Okay? And then you have the option from there to extend the left leg out along the floor and try to anchor the back of that left thigh into your mat. And you'll get closer to doing that in that tip of the pelvis. Right? If I roll my low back into the floor, it takes all that, the back of my left thigh completely off my mat. And when I reverse that, I've lengthened everything. We're going to hold here and breathe. So a nice hamstring stretch. You bend the knee if you need to. Okay. Flexing the foot brings a nice stretch through the Achilles and the calf. Also helpful for our ankles. The breath is steady. Let's take 3 more nice, long, slow breaths here. And then bend that knee, or just remove the strap and allow that right leg to extend along the floor next to the left. Just notice how it grew a couple inches longer. Sure feels like it. Shake it out a bit. Okay, we'll bend both knees, placing the feet on the floor again. And now take the strap around the ball of the left foot. So just noticing first if it feels better to slide the hands down the strap. If you're drawing that leg in so close to you, you're flattening the low back into the floor, draw it away from you a bit, find that tip of the pelvis, create a little space in there, fit a little marble, ping pong ball or something under there. And then you can extend the right leg along the floor. See if you can get that back of your hamstring, your right hamstring, the back of the right thigh into the floor. Foot's flexed, feeling the stretch into the calf and the Achilles. And breathing, nice steady breaths. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. And when you complete those breaths, remove the strap. Move it off to the side. Extend the left leg along the floor. Shake that out. All right, so let's go ahead and come into our double knee drop for a little bit for the hip work. We had a hip request, so I'm going to do this today. Extend the arms out from your shoulders, palms up. Feet are wide, so you want your feet to be as wide as your mat. I always run out of room with the wall, so I have to get creative here. And so then you're going to go ahead and release the knees to one side. Just our double knee drop. Let's move back and forth. Inhale the top knee, opening up the legs as wide as they'll allow, and then exhale, release to the other side. Inhale, open. Exhale into the twist. So you can really just notice as you drop into the twist, you'll feel your hip, maybe your low back, and all along the outer thigh, the IT band, all important aspects to hips. Right there, everything's connected. Just continue to move side to side with this a few more rounds and engage with the head if you'd like to, rotating it the opposite direction that the knees go. If that doesn't serve you today, keep the gaze straight up to the ceiling. When you've gone equally both directions, we're going to go ahead, release both knees to the right. So this is going to be dependent on your mobility in your hip as well as your knee, right? So the left leg's on top. This might be enough of a stretch, and what you could do is if you have a blanket, you could simply take the blanket and rest it on top of that left leg, and that might be just enough downward pressure. You don't need to intensify the stretch anymore. The next option for those of you who want more of a stretch is to take your right foot, the foot that's on the floor there, and place the ankle on top of that left knee, and that weights it down even more, and you're going to feel more intense stretch through low back, hip, and IT band. So you really need to decide if that's serving you, if you need to do that. I'm going to release it. I'm feeling I want a little bit more of a gentle stretch here today. You decide for yourself what serves you, and breathe. Let's take about 3 more breaths on this side. And then we'll go ahead, open wide. Slowly move the knees to the other side. Take a breath, just feeling the knee or that the right leg is the top leg, and that weight itself may be enough. Or you can take the blanket again if you have one. Pillow would work too. Or you can take your left foot and place it on top of that right knee, deepening that stretch even more. It's pretty intense. Really decide whether that serves you today. Just because we've done a stretch a certain way before doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work today. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. And then we'll release that. Bring the knees back up. And take a moment just in a neutral position. Just feel the practice so far. Knees bent, feet on the floor, on your back. Just notice any sensations. And we're going to go ahead and take our blocks at their flattest level. Place them right underneath the tailbone. Okay. Opening the shoulders, so draw the shoulders back. Palms can rest on the belly or open out wide. You can keep your feet in the floor and let the knees fall together. Take the feet out a little bit wider and let the knees come together if that feels good to you. Or the other option is to take the feet off the floor. This has really been feeling nice in my own practice recently. And keep the knees bent or extend the feet towards the ceiling. You decide your position, settle in, stay here for maybe 2 minutes, and just breathe. Follow the belly as it rises and falls with each breath. Or feel the sensations of the breath as it moves in and out of the nostrils, the back of the throat. Using the breath as an anchor to keep us in the present moment. One more minute. Go ahead, if you've got your feet lifted, place your feet in the floor. Let's remove the block out from underneath us. Spine comes back down into your mat. Feet are parallel, hip width apart, and let's find our hip hikers or sliders, just sliding the hips up the mat. Small mindful movements, releasing the sacrum. Back to center, hip pointers. Just point one hip bone up to the ceiling, the other by pressing into that foot. Opposite buttocks stays on the floor, opposite cheek. Again, small mindful movements, really nice for the low back, sacrum. And then just a few rounds of alternating between the two, hip hikers and hip pointers. And bring all that to center. And just notice what would be supportive in Shavasana this morning. Just noticing what props you would like to use, whether that's a blanket under your head, something rolled up underneath the knees, maybe a blanket on you. You can extend the legs along the floor, opening the arms out wide or somewhat away from your side, palms up. And so taking a moment to get settled into your Shavasana. As you make yourself comfortable, we let go again, just like centering in the beginning, we let go of the distractions of the mind. When the body's uncomfortable, we get distracted. So we're going to come into a self-love kind of meditation, guided meditation on mindfulness. So as you found your position, let go, relax and surrender to gravity. We're going to begin with the very first action of self-love, which is recognizing and appreciating the ability to breathe in all different kinds of ways. And breath has been there literally our entire lives, changing as needed to the demand of exciting circumstances and following effortlessly when we are resting, right? So the breath is constantly shifting with our everyday moods without us really even having to pay attention to it at all. So by bringing our awareness to the breath, that is an expression of self-love. So we're going to take some deep breaths together. So empty out wherever you are. And then the next deep inhale in, expand your belly and lungs as much as you can and hold it at the top for just a moment. And then exhale gently with a sense of relief, letting go. The next inhale, feel that fresh oxygen being supplied to your bloodstream and hold it and soak it in. And exhaling without any effort at all. Just smoothly let the breath go. On your next inhale, have a sense of feeling rejuvenated or invigorated. Bringing energy in, hold at the top, let it fill you. And when you're ready to release the breath, let it all go. Take another deep breath in, that idea of self-compassion. Soak it in, let it fill you, hold the breath. When you're ready, let go into that idea of feeling of self-compassion. One more breath in, that act of self-love, paying attention to the fullness of our breath, hold it. And when you're ready, let go into that act of self-love, into the energy of love and compassion for the self. Take a moment to allow your breath to flow at a pace without any effort from you. Know that this is an act of self-love that you can do at any time of the day. Breathing mindfully, breathing with intention. Allow your hearing to become super alert. And choose a particular sound in the surroundings that you're in. It might be, you might notice traffic or nature or a ticking clock. Pick up on one sound and rest your attention there for a moment. Gratitude for the ability to hear. And switch your attention to a different sound. And then just resting your attention at all the sounds at once. And as you do, resting in appreciation for the sense of hearing, the ability to hear. Appreciating this ability is an act of self-love. We're going to take a moment now to observe our mental chatter, how busy our minds can be in all the different places they want to take off to. Follow a thought for just a moment, just kind of notice where it takes you, and then find your way back into the moment. Maybe it's your breath. And then you might notice another thought pop in and find interest in that for a moment, and then find your way back to the present with the breath. Just again and again, we gently guide our monkey mind back to the breath and to the moment. And at the same time, we can appreciate the fact we have this mind, this ability to problem solve and to be creative, to act consciously. one of the ways we do have to help quiet it down is to give the mind something to play with, which is why the breath can be a very powerful tool. And what we're going to do here in the rest of this practice is to come into some positive affirmations or mantras to instill that idea of self-love. So just to yourself, silently to yourself, hear yourself saying, when I fully love myself, I am able to fully love others. Deciding to love myself is a wonderful agreement. Each day, I allow my love for myself to grow more and more. I am worthy of love, and I honor the joy that comes with it. Deciding to love myself unconditionally, no matter what happens, feels wonderful. I deserve love and self-respect. My self-worth grows along with my self-love. I love and accept everything about myself. I completely and always love myself. The more I love myself, the better my entire health. Every part of me that makes me who I am is encompassed with love. I have unconditional love within me that overflows in abundance to those around me. Take 1 minute to bask in these positive affirmations of self-love. Taking a few deep breaths. Maybe wiggling some fingers and toes or just stretching overhead. Eventually rolling to one side. Take a breath or two there. And then eventually find your way to a seated position. Bringing your hands together at your heart. Anjali Mudra. Honor and recognize the time you gave yourself today. That is also an act of self-love to be here in this practice. Whether you're taking this practice live with me right now or watching the recording later. Thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher. Namaste.